Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of Good for the Game, and welcome back to the channel for this, the first of 21 Tour de France stage previews. Absolutely cannot wait for the action to begin, and what a weekend we've got ahead of us. It's certainly not a typical sprinter's start, that is for sure. If you do like your betting, if you like your cycling, then hit the like and the subscribe button now. It certainly helps our channel a lot. I've got to start off with this one. For those who followed me in the Tour de France over the years, Vin Naidu posted this on Twitter shortly, and I think this just describes my form over the last few years quite nicely. Some early bets, midnight YouTube upload videos, soon fall behind, time to chase, find a ludicrous in-play outright bet, have a massive strike on it. Outright bet goes from, he says 6 to 1, I think he means 6 to 10 to 30 to 1 inside a few stages, and then casually hit a 50 to 1 stage winner towards the end. That's what you're in for potentially if you follow me. Let's hope we can throw that 50 to 1 stage winner in the BG Tour de France yearly cycle. He calls it. Absolutely loved that tweet. Let's just touch on the outright bets quickly. I'm busy posting some of those in the Good for the Game forum at the moment. There are links to that in the description box down below. So this was my green jersey post, and I've gone for Mats Pedersen there at just under 7.5 to 1. That certainly is set up to be a sprinter's jersey this year. So Philipsen, a worthy favorite there, is 19 to 20 at BetExchange, but I've gone for Pedersen, who's a second favorite there in the betting. He's a good climber, and I think he's got a chance, full justification there in the forum. And on King of the Mountains, I've gone for a couple of long shots. Felix Gall at 22 to 1, almost 23 to 1 there with BetExchange, and Thomas Pidcock 80 to 1. Those are my speculative plays for the King of the Mountains. I have made a call on this one. I don't think a GC man is going to win this in 2024, and I do go into more of an explanation there. But essentially, we don't have the double points on the final big climbs anymore, and that is going to make a big difference, in my opinion, to this classification. Right, let's look at this stage 1 now. We got 206 kilometers. It's taking place in Italy, starting in Florence and ending in Rimini. Well, we've got a fairly easy start, but from here, sort of around about the 36, 37 kilometer mark, we really start climbing with a Cat 2 climb early, 12.5 kilometers at 5.1%. From there on, it's really up and down all the way until you descend the final climb into the last 15 or so kilometers. We've got 7 categorized climbs, no first cats, no out of categories, but Cat 2s and Cat 3s. I mean, take a look at this first climb, 12.5 kilometers at 5.1%. The sprinters are going to be absolutely crying on the stage. What sort of stage are we going to get there? I mean, early on in Grand Tours, we quite often get a small group of 3 riders go clear, and the sprint teams just control it and, of course, bring it back with plenty of room to spare to ensure a bunch finish. That is clearly not going to happen this time. And with the yellow jersey up for grabs, there are so many people who will fancy their chances of winning this. So I think we're going to get a big battle for the break. I think we're going to get a relatively strong break. Obviously, we're not going to get any GC contenders. And then it's a question of who will keep that break under control. And I suspect there's quite a few teams that will fancy their chances of winning the stage. We'll go through the betting now, and including, of course, a race favorite and stage favorite to Tadej Pogacar's UAE team. And I think the onus may be on them to do quite a bit of the pacemaking. They certainly have a very, very strong climbing team, and this stage should suit them quite nicely. What do I expect to happen then? I expect a break to go clear, probably 5 or 6 riders, but to be kept very much in check, not to get more than maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, perhaps 4 minutes at the push. And then it's all going to come back together, I believe, possibly before the final climb, which is 7.1 kilometers at 4.8%. Alternatively, it will come together sometime on that final climb. Then what happens from there is going to really be interesting, because there's definitely going to be attacks on this final climb. We could have a solo rider going over the top. You could see quite a steep descent and then a fairly flattish, gradual downhill run in to the finish. We could also have a couple of riders go over the top and then group into a small group that works together towards the finish line. And of course, we're going to have big groups behind it chasing on. So we could have a solo winner. We could have a very small bunch sprint. And it's also quite feasible we could have somewhere around 25 to 30 riders ultimately coming in together, because there is time for this race to regroup after the climb. We'll have a look at the betting now, though. Before I do that, just to mention, World Sports Betting got a great promo, and particularly on stages where you do fancy the favorite. It's a refund on a second place finish up to 5,000 Rand in free bets. Terms and conditions apply. They're all on their website, but this is a cracking one, particularly if you're going to, when we get to the sprint stages and you want to back someone like Philipsen at 8 to 10, well, you can have that money back for second in assurance with World Sports Betting. Right, I'm using BetExchange today for outright prices on stage 1. Highlighted a few riders in particular I want to touch on. And they have got some really good prices. They're not best on all of the riders. So you'll see one of my bets I am taking with another bookmaker. Pogacar, he's just over, he's just over 23 to 10 a year. This is net decibel. So this is the actual odds, 2.34 to 1 Pogacar. Now, no doubt about it, he is a very, very worthy favorite for the stage. But gee, those odds are just a little bit skinny for me. You know, a lot can go wrong. And ultimately, he's got his target on the 3 weeks. Yes, he wants to win his stage, but I don't think he's going to risk it all. He may well attack at the top of the final climb, but I'm not sure that climb is really steep enough for him to go solo. He'll probably take a few guys with him, and then he'll actually fancy himself potentially to win a bunch sprint. I could also think of a scenario where, for example, Pogacar gets over the climb and he's got one rider with him, maybe not a GC contender, and what will happen then is that guy will sit on Pogacar. So in that particular case, you could even get a deal being struck, and Pogacar says, listen, we work together. You can have the stage. I just want to gain early time on a few rivals. So all sorts of things could play out. Bottom line, I can't back him at that price. If you are going to back him, take him at World Sports Betting. I think he's 22 to 10. You do get the money back for second there. But Pogacar, certainly a big runner, can win from a sort of a limited bunch sprint and can also win from a win going solo. But at that price, I'm just going to look to try and beat him tomorrow. Wout van Aert, well, he's just under 10 to 1. Now, he comes into this race relatively undercooked. We don't really know his condition. He had a bad crash a while back. So for me, Van Aert is one to avoid. Certainly reading between the lines, he's not in the best of shape. Alberto Bettiol, well, he's the local man. It would be great to see him win, but I don't see him going solo. So I could see him certainly finishing in a bunch with 3 or 4, and there's a good chance he could find someone faster than him in a bunch, sort of a small bunch sprint, although he is quite nippy. Mateo van der Poel, it's been a long time since we've seen him on the road. I see reports of him saying that he's perhaps going to find these opening 2 stages too tough. He's, of course, going to be there to lead Philipsen out in the sprints. He did a great job in the 2023 Tour. Wouldn't put you off the world champion, certainly one of my favorite riders and the sort of guy that you just can never write off. Pidcock, as I say, there is some 22 to 1 available, and that's what I'm taking on Pidcock. He's 18.68 to 1 here. He would love to wear the yellow jersey. He's climbing exceptionally well. I was very impressed with him a few weeks ago in his build-up race. And he's also a very good descender. That last descent looks fairly technical, so that could be quite useful, either for him to chase back onto a small group or alternatively perhaps to go away on his own. I think more than likely, though, he would win this from a small bunch of 3 or 4 riders. I do like Pidcock to make a good start to the Tour de France. Primož Roglic as well. Tempted by him at 18 to 1 because he's a quick sprinter. He beat Pogacar in a couple of sprints last year, you know, when the big boys duke it out. He won the Dauphiné de Libéré, but he wasn't particularly convincing. If you look at who he beat there, just Ed Jorgensen, you had G in 3rd place. Certainly nothing like Pogacar, who, of course, goes for the double, having won the Giro by basically 10 minutes. Looks to become the first guy to win the double since Pantani in 1998. So, Roglic, I wouldn't put you off. I was very tempted, but you have to draw the line somewhere. Alex Alamburu, he's the Spanish national champion at the moment. He's a guy that I've followed a lot in Grand Tours, and to be honest, he's let me down quite badly. But I do think he's one of those sprinters who can climb really well. And I do think if we got a small bunch sprint of, say, 15 riders or something, he's going to be a big runner. I like his chances there at 34 to 1. I'm sticking him in my staking plan. Then Ciccone. He's, of course, the defending King of the Mountains champion. And by the way, around about 6 to 1 for this year's King of the Mountains. And he certainly ticks all the boxes. I wouldn't put you off him there because he's unlikely to contend for GC. And as I said, I don't think a GC guy is going to win the King of the Mountains this year. He's 68 to 1. He's not the quickest sprinter, but he can certainly win from a small bunch. And the way I've seen him climbing this year, I think he could be right there at the business end of proceedings. He's also the sort of guy who might potentially go away on his own. Or he's the sort of guy, that scenario that I spoke about with Pogacar and someone else going together, you know, could be a Ciccone and the two of them work together, put some time in. You know, I'm not talking big time gaps on the stage, but 20 seconds, whatever, and then Ciccone takes the stage win. Now, Jonas Vingegaard at 68 to 1, it would be difficult to see him winning the stage in his first stage back after a long injury break, and going to be very interesting to see and try and get some sort of feel what shape he's in. The team did say if they didn't think he could win the race, they wouldn't have sent him. Then I want to put in Canadian Derek G. He's 81 to 1. I was very, very impressed with him in the Dauphiné, where he was 3rd to Primož Roglic. He's not really seen as a GC threat. If he's riding GC, he's really targeting top 10s, but he's quite good on the short climbs. And I could see him attacking over the top or potentially winning from a very, very small bunch as well. At 80 to 1, we're not going to do a great deal of harm. Plenty of other riders there. Obviously, haven't quoted all of them, but this should be an absolutely thrilling opening stage. Right, what are my bets? I'm taking 1 unit, Tom Pitcock at 22-1 at World Sports Betting, then half a unit, Aramburu at 34-1 at BetX, and a quarter unit each, Chaconi at 68 and G at 81, both at BetExchange. Prices, of course, are subject to change. I can tell you that as I went on to record this video, the prices are still there, but you just never know. Cycling betting does tend to move a lot, but those are the prices that I'm going to be taking. There is a link to the forum thread in the description box below, because I'm going to be posting some more bets there as well, both long terms. I want to look at some of the match bets, but also, of course, potential match bets on the stage. And yeah, this is the first stage of 21. So make sure you do, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for the notifications so that you can told when all of our YouTube previews go up. As Vin said in that tweet, it's normally around about midnight or 2 in the morning when I tend to be posting them. Thanks, everyone. Let me know your comments below as well. Who do you think is going to win the stage? It's been great chatting to you. I cannot believe the Tour de France is back. Absolutely excited for this one. And we'll see you Saturday night or Sunday morning for stage 2 of the Tour de France.